Assalamu alaikum and hi viewers, this is Sajjad Hussain and you are watching my YouTube channel. Welcome to this video in which we are going to discuss an essay by T.S. Eliot, and the essay is Tradition and Individual Talent. It was first published in Times Literary Supplement in 1919, and since then it has come to be known as one of the most important and one of the most crucial aspects of Eliot's literary criticism. In fact, it serves as a basis to his critical practice and critical theory. We need to understand the title first. Tradition means works of the past, writers of the past, poets of the past and their works. Individual talent refers to poetic creativity, it means poetic process, it means poetic ability, it means ability to generate and write poetry. According to T.S. Eliot, tradition, the poets and their works of the past, and individual talent, which means poetic creativity and the ability to create poetry, supplement each other, they are complement each other, they are highly dependent on each other, and there is a close relationship between the two. He starts his essay with the idea that the word tradition is displeasing for English ears. It is a derogatory word. This word is frowned upon, and a poet, a young poet, or a poet of his times wants to be highly unique and highly individual. He does not want to be called traditional because he believes that it is a sort of slight for him. However, according to T.S. Eliot, if this prejudice is put aside, and if a piece of poetry, if a poem is read impartially, one would realize, a person would realize, the reader would realize that the most individual part of that poetry, of that poem, is the one in which the dead poets, the ancient poets, the poets of antiquity have expressed themselves most vigorously, most energetically. Now, this is what implies, this is what suggests that poetic process and poetic creativity is inspired consciously or unconsciously by the poets and their works of the past. So, this is the concept of tradition. Eliot believes that this concept of tradition is not easy to obtain, not easy to achieve. It is something that needs laborious efforts. It is something that needs constant practice, and the maturer the poet, the higher will be that concept of tradition and that sense of tradition. And this sense of tradition involves historical sense. Now, what is this historical sense? Eliot believes that a poet should realize that since the time of Homer, all the works that have been written since Homer to the present day, to the present world, have some sort of simultaneousness, have some sort of continuity, and more or less they are the same, or at least they have great similarities. Eliot believes that a poet of the present age should have the concept of temporality as well as permanence or timelessness. Temporality means the present age, and timelessness means the past. A poet should have both these ideas while writing poetry. He further suggests that a poet should have not only the idea or the sense of the pastness of past, but he should also have the sense of presence of the past. Now, what is pastness of the past? Pastness of past simply means that there have been works in the past that were written for that particular age, and these were interpreted and these were explained by the people, and their usefulness was judged keeping in mind that particular age. That is pastness of the past. And presence of the past means that there are works written by the poets and writers of the past which have their significance and which have their relevance and which have their importance to the present era, and that is presence of the past. So a good poet should have this sense. He should have not only the sense of the pastness of the past, but he should also know and he should also have this sense of the presence of the past. T.S. Eliot further believes that no poet and his work has its meaning alone. No poet or his work has its meaning in isolation. This meaning becomes clear and it becomes prominent when it is compared and contrasted with other poets. Moreover, the idea is that historical sense is not easy to achieve, and historical sense does not mean that a poet or a writer should have read or should have studied all the poets and their works and all the writers and their works in the past, and it is also not good that he should base his historical sense on the basis of a few favorite poets or writers or their works. Rather, he should make an extraordinary effort to study most of the writers and their works, at least those writers and their works that have been highly popular. Only then this historical sense would be achieved by a poet. I hope this is clear. Now, this is the first part of the essay. The second part of the essay is a theory that is given by T.S. Eliot, and this theory is called theory of objectivity or theory of impersonality or depersonalization of poetry. T.S. Eliot is of the view that while writing poetry, a poet should not actively participate in creative process. His mind should not actively participate in that process. Rather, his mind should remain inert. His mind should remain passive. It should only act as a receptor. According to T.S. Eliot, there are different phrases, different emotions and feelings that constantly stir in the heart and mind of a poet. Now, these phrases and these emotions and these feelings should be stored in the mind, and from there these should be changed into poetic thoughts. So mind should have no role, and he elaborates it with the example or with an analogy that he has given. And this is from the scientific world. He is of the view that sulfurous acid is made from hydrogen sulfide, which is a gas, and oxygen. When both these substances are combined together as reactants to change into a product which is sulfurous acid, a catalyst is added which is platinum. The role of this catalyst is to activate that chemical process, to speed up that chemical process so that more reactants are changed into products. Eliot believes that this is the role of the mind of a poet, the role of the catalyst. Mind should remain inert, it should remain passive. Phrases and feelings and emotions should be changed into poetic thoughts. Reactants should be changed into products, and mind, which is a catalyst, should only facilitate that process. It should only act as a receptor. Though this theory was later on highly criticized and it was in direct opposition to the idea that was given by the Romantics, and Eliot concludes his essay with the thought that poetry is not expression of emotions, rather it is an escape from emotions. It is not an expression of personality, rather it is an escape from personality. This is what suggests that emotions and personality do matter while writing poetry, but these should not actively participate in poetic process. Eliot has not been able to differentiate between feelings and emotions, and there are certain weak areas, there are certain gray areas in this essay that can be discussed. However, overall, this essay serves as an important document, as an important treatise to discuss critical theory and critical practice. Now, by the end, I will discuss with you 5 short answers that can also be asked as MCQs. For example, first one is, what is the full name of T.S. Eliot? And the full name of T.S. Eliot is Thomas Stearns Eliot. Second is, when was Eliot awarded Nobel Prize? And he was awarded Nobel Prize in 1942. For which poem T.S. Eliot is most famous? Obviously, he is most famous for writing The Wasteland. Where did Eliot study Sanskrit? Yes, he had studied Sanskrit, and he was also a very good scholar of Sanskrit, and he had studied it at Harvard College. Love Song of Prufrock was written by Eliot on whose request? And it was written by him on the request of his friend Ezra Pound. Viewers, I hope these details regarding Tradition and Individual Talent by T.S. Eliot are clear to you. Hopefully, these would benefit you. This is all for today. Thank you for watching. Keep following. Allah Hafiz.